So, are we there? Okay, groovy. Hey, everybody, it's Michelle with Live Life Whimsically. I'm here on my channel. I give commentary on other YouTube channels, religion, comedy, real estate, and witchcraft. Sometimes I just drink and talk about what's happening in my life. Please do your own research and don't take anything I say as fact. All content and stream falls under fair use. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. And please remember to leave me a comment if you would be so kind. This video may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. This material is being made available with the transformative or derivative work for the purpose of education, commentary, and criticism, is being distributed without profit and is believed to be fair use in accordance with Title 17 USC Section 107. Not that I'm going to have any of that stuff going on today, but I just thought I should pop out because last Wednesday we didn't go live because we were getting ready, Laura and I, for the holiday season. And then yesterday we didn't go live because, frankly, I just didn't feel like it. And so I plan on maybe trying to go live on Friday this week. I don't know. I probably will later. I don't understand why we had so many technical difficulties. Even today, when I started up this afternoon, I had issues with the microphone, so I don't know what happened. But I wanted to just tell a little story about family drama, Christmas trauma, or however I put that in the title, holiday trauma, family drama. You know, holidays trigger me for a really long time, most of my life, and that's because my parental units were really terribly bad drug addicts and alcoholics, and the holidays tend to be days when they would really get into terrible, horrible fights. And so when the events of this holiday that I'm about to tell you unfold, you'll understand why it pretty much set me into a tailspin. And shout out to my therapist who has really helped me to be able to handle this holiday season with a little bit of grace and decorum. So, my marriage is failing, and it's been failing for a really long time. And I have been making small steps to exit the marriage. And it's been very small steps. And so, but both of us had talked about how things were going to end. And um, he decided on the 22nd of December, which was the day after our 20th anniversary, to tell me what his plans were at 9:30 at night. And listen, I'm not. I mean, I am sad that the marriage is ending because who would have thought that? And after 20 years, but like not so much unlike my parents, he has chosen alcohol over his family, and so I decided I did not want to live in that sort of life again. I did it long enough, and I don't want the last third of my life to be, you know, around a person that can't control their alcohol and do nothing but are killing themselves in front of me. So, but it surprised me because I was really busy getting ready for the holidays. I have a cousin that is elderly, mentally ill, and probably a little bit high functioning autistic. And he had just had a heart attack in August. And I was trying to talk him out of coming over because I was worried about him driving 3 hours across the state to be with me. That was not going to be a thing. So I was stressing about that. And right before I went to bed that day on the 22nd or the 23rd, he called me, my husband did, and started telling me, wrote me this email about his life ending. He was getting sicker and he knew it, but he has no interest in quitting drinking or anything like that. And so I had to sit up, until meds kicked in for me to be able to go to sleep that night and then get ready for the holiday on the 23rd. I think, yeah, because it was the 22nd that conversation happened. The cousin came, and I thought, well, maybe it's not going to be so bad with him because he's usually pretty loud and volatile, and you really aren't able to have conversation with him. He pretty much governs the way everything's going to be in the house when he's there. And but that night when he got in town, he was very tired from the drive and he was subdued. And I thought, well, maybe this is how the whole weekend's going to be and it won't be so bad. And so the next day is Christmas Eve, and he comes to the house, and he is hell on wheels. He's feeling much rested and ready to go right back into his loud, volatile, narcissistic diatribes. He talks over everyone. He doesn't let anybody have any kind of conversation with him. I've been trying to have conversation with him about his illness since it happened, and he's not having it, and I don't know what to do for him. And so my kids came to the new place that I'm living in, and he came and he was acting a little crazy, but he wasn't ready to be there the whole time. So he left, and we all just looked at each other and we're like, okay, so we get a little bit of a reprieve before it all starts again. And then he got there, he started drinking really heavily. He was very obnoxious. He was very rude to me and to my friend who I live with. And he wanted to watch football, and he couldn't understand why anybody who has a television doesn't have cable TV. And right away, I want to say, okay, boomer. So we just tried to tell him, we don't care about sports or any of that stuff, and we don't want to pay for internet. And I thought the next day I would just have him come back over, and it would be kind of okay because there'd be less people there. But I could tell that this was not going to devolve into something worse. So I said, let me take him to a local bar and he can watch football there, because the hotel he chose for himself, despite having the means to pay for a nicer place, he would not do. And it was actually in a place where drug deals and all kinds of other crazy, illegal activities happen. And he didn't care. And I wasn't going to sit there in that hotel. I had zero interest in being there. So my stepson and I go, because I was just going to take him by myself. And my stepson was like, well, just, if you even have 2 beers, it's probably not good for you to drive. So why don't I just come with you and make sure that you're okay, and you can make it back home. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And my cousin likes my stepson, because my stepson is very mathematically inclined, as my cousin is, and very smart. And so I thought this will be a good idea. And we go to the hotel room, and he wants to smoke a bowl before we go to the bar. And I'm like, all right, whatever, And so we do that, and he gets really torn up from that weed, but he seemed okay. And mind you, he's collapsed 3 times since August. The doctors say it's from dehydration, but they don't know for sure what it is. They just know it's not cardiac related from, when he had the massive heart attack in August. So we drive to the bar, and it's usually not open on Christmas, this place that I wanted to go to, but they very kindly opened up that day. They had football on, so it was great. We could find a place real close to a TV where you could watch the Dolphins. We're sitting there. The waitress comes up. There's only one person working. She's bartender, waitress. She's not really waiting tables, as I'm about to explain. And then there's somebody in the kitchen with a limited menu. And she says, I'm not going to be waiting on you. Whatever you need, you'll have to come to the bar for, but I will get your first round for you. So she does that, and he gets really mad about that. Like, he's yelling, just like he was at my friend over the television the day before. And I'm telling him, please don't do this in here, because these are my friends. I literally know the people that own the bar. Can you not act this way in this bar? And there's only one person, and there's all these people, and I don't mind going to the bar and getting the drinks and the food or whatever I have to do. I'm fine with that. And so then we get our first round, and he takes a couple of sips. Like, literally, I don't even think we got like a third of the beer out of the way for either one of us. And he looks at me and he goes, I don't feel so good. And I'm like, oh shit. So I said, how much water have you drank in the last couple of days? Well, not very much, only beer and coffee. And I'm like, dude, like, you've been in the hospital and in the back of ambulances at least 3 times already for this same thing. And you have not drank water. I'm like, okay, let me get you water. So I go get him water, and I get him a bag of potato chips, because I'm not sure if it's food or water or both that's making him look really bad right now. And so he drinks some of the water, and he's like, I think it's the weed. And I'm like, well, it could be a little of everything, And he goes, I don't think I can drink this beer. And I said, I think that's a good idea. And then I look at him and his lips start turning really white and his tongue turned really white and his eyes start closing. He's slurring his words and I can't understand what he's saying. And he starts to fall over and he tells me, just put me on the floor. And I'm like, nah, and Patrick, my stepson, leans over and grabs him and holds him up. And I go get the bartender to please call 911 so I can come back and monitor him. And I can't understand anything he's saying. And he's literally fallen over. And he's asking my stepson, do you know Michelle? Do you know her? Do you know me? And so finally got him to realize, yeah, he knew everybody sitting there. And the paramedics come in and get him loaded up on the gurney and they go out to the car or to the ambulance. And they tell me I can come out there and sit in the ambulance while they work on him. And I tell them about his history. And so they know everything. And they start checking him with the EKG and the blood pressure machine. And they find his blood pressure's low and his heart rate is low. And he's still slurring his words, not making much sense. And so I said, they said, we really should take you to the hospital. And while they're giving him an IV of fluid, just to make sure it's not a cardiac episode. And he says, I'm not going to the hospital. And I said, you're going to the hospital. And so this goes on for a while. He starts really giving the poor paramedic a bunch of crap about it. He's saying it's a conspiracy. We're all kidnapping him. And I just finally looked at him and said, well, if you don't go to the hospital, then I'm not going to put you back in my car because I'm worried that something really is wrong with you. And I'm not going to leave you in a hotel room where no one's going to be seeing you for at least 2 days and we won't know what's wrong with you. So, for me, let's go to the hospital. No, fuck you. I'm not going to the hospital. I know what's wrong with me. And these guys don't know shit about my body. And they're like, well, unless you're an alien, dude, like we do know, bodies and everybody is the same. So finally, after a bunch of arguing and stuff, he agrees to go because he realizes that he's not getting a ride home. And I'm gonna just, be really adamant about him being there. And I get out of the van and they tell me, just follow along behind him. They're taking him to one of the best cardiac units in the Tampa Bay area. And he gets there and I go back inside and I get my stepkid and we drive over to the hospital and we go inside and it is so busy. I mean, there was hardly, I think there were like 2 chairs available, just what we needed. And I let them know that I was there and who I was there for. And then we just sat in the waiting area for like an hour for him to, to let us know when we could go back. And about a half an hour into the wait, though, my cousin called me and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in the waiting area." And he goes, "Well, you could come here." And I said, "Yeah, I can when they tell me I can. But right now they're telling me I got to wait until the doctors are done checking you over." He said, "Well, no one's in here with me right now, so just come in." And I said, "I can't." Why? Because the doors are locked, dude. Like I can't just bash through doors and come in there to you. So he's like, "All right, whatever." He's like telling me to tell them to let me in. And I said, "No, they're super busy. There's lots of really sick people in this hospital today. And I'm not doing that. And so finally they come out and say, "Okay, you can go." And me and my stepkid go and we get back there. And immediately Manny just starts verbally accosting me. "Fuck you. You're so stupid. You get worried over nothing. I've been through this before. I know what's wrong with me." And I said, "Yeah, fuck me for caring if you fall over and die. Like I don't know. And you can't really talk to me when you're in that state. So no, I don't feel bad for bringing you here and making you do this." And so then in between berating me and telling me he loves me, and that I'm there for him and all that shit, the administration people are coming in to register him for the being in the emergency room and try to get his insurance card, which this man does not carry with him after having a massive, like, widowmaker heart attack, 2 stents put in, and he doesn't do any of that. I'm like, why don't you have your stuff with you, man? Like, I don't get it. And the girl's like, "It's okay. I can look it up from his social security number." Now he's back berating me while she's trying to tell me this. And so she tries to tell him, "Yo, I just need your social security number and I'm going to be able to figure this out." And he's still yelling at me, telling me how stupid I am. And actually, just before she came into the room, he said to me, you took 1,000 stupid pills today, and every single one of them worked. And so when she's trying to get it out of him, what his social is, he's still blah, 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 screaming at me. And I finally looked at him and I said, yo, she needs you to tell her something. Can you answer this woman's question? Because unfortunately for me, I do not know your social security number, so I can't help you. And so he turns away from me and he looks at the registration woman and he says, you see how she is? She just always has to interrupt me. And I looked at that woman and I said, it's because I took 1,000 stupid pills today and they're all working. I was so fucking mad. So when they got done with him and got him all registered, he was still screaming and cursing me out. And I said, look, I did this because because my mother and him grew up together, they were very close, only 10 years apart. When my mother fell and broke her hip and I knew she was going to die, one of the last things my mother said to me was, you have to take care of him. He's got nobody else. You've got to take care of him. And I said, Mom, I got him. Like I've had everybody else in my entire life, starting at 15 with my grandparents, I have been the caretaker of every single person in my family pretty much. My first ex-husband, I've taken care of this almost ex-husband. I have taken care of my parents, my grandparents, cousins, friends, all sorts of people have been under my watch in their recovery and also in their exit from this plane. So yeah, I got it. I'm going to take care of everybody. And so I tell him that, and he looks at me and he goes, fuck you and fuck your mother. And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. So 4 hours later, we get out of the hospital. He's fine. It's not a cardiac thing. Again, that hospital says could be dehydration, might not be dehydration. We don't know. So we're walking, and like in parking lots where they have like the sidewalk between the two fronts of the cars that are facing each other, and they're very narrow and you can walk through them. That's what this hospital has. And I'm the last one that's walking because I got a bad hip and I walk really slow. And he's in front of me walking backwards so he can face me and scream at me for what I have done and what shit I caused him and what a horrible night it was. And this was all my fault. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not the one that didn't drink water and pass out again. That was not me. That was you. So he's still screaming at me. He almost falls off the sidewalk. And I look at him and I said, you better fucking turn your ass around, bruh, before you fall off of this sidewalk and bust your ass. And I got to take you right back into that hospital. Is that what you want to do? So he turns around and he starts walking and he's still yelling, but I can't hear him because your girl's 61, got a bad hip, walks slow, far away, can't hear, old. That's how it is. So we get to the car and my stepson, I said, you're driving. And he gets up to the front seat. I shove my cousin up to the other side of the passenger front seat and I hop it because he's still screaming. I hop into the back seat of the car. He's like, oh, you don't want to drive me? No, zero interest in driving you any place. Bad enough I got to be in the car, but I'm going with you. So Patrick drives us back. We take him to the hotel and then we come home and, that was my Christmas. That starting from the 22nd of December all the way through, the holiday sucked ass and sent me into a tailspin where I have so much recurring back trauma from like stuff that's sitting there in my subconscious, and I'm trying to deal with it. And I'm trying to deal with all the shit in my personal life. And I'm trying to deal with the fact that I have to move out of my house. And I'm trying to deal with the fact that my soon-to-be ex-husband thinks that, it's okay to drink himself to death. And that shouldn't be anybody's problem but his. And that my son is fretting over all of this. So that's where I've been. And hopefully Friday, tomorrow, I guess. Is that tomorrow, kids? Yep. I might be able to go live for happy hour and maybe actually bring people up. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. That's it. Hey, if you stayed this long, subscribe.